Hey, 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 hey. Lord. When I say it's a lot, it's always a lot going on. Baby. Three or four things going on. Let me touch bases real quick. Today. Both of them rest. Wow. Did you hear the word that Jay-Z dissed Kanye, your boy Ye? Baby, I tell you, when I put my mouth on stuff, it just be a matter of time before they turn around and say something. I mean, he went in on him because Auntie Fee said, you need to show. You let that man talk about your child? Yeah. So he dissed him. I did a little bit up the load on that. I got to talk about, oh boy, in the D. I'm going to try to talk about him tomorrow since they not going to be perform. Oh, man, I ain't even set up. Got to be more careful. Hold on. I don't even know where I want to start. I want to start with this girl while I'm sitting here getting this set up. Is that okay? Y'all not in here yet. What is this? Mama Duck speak out on Shiro. See that? Let me just clear all of this. Baby, I hope he getting his new apartments, making his special arrangements and stuff in his new apartment. I wonder how long is it gonna take them to ship him off once he get there. He on his way to prison, y'all. Probably. I'm sure they're gonna rest next week. I mean, not rest. Have a verdict next week. It ain't probably just 15 minutes, 30 minutes. That's probably how long it's gonna take the jury to decide your fate. Yeah. Baby, I don't know what went wrong with you, but you is one sick ass. It just don't get that freaky and sexy. I want to know what happened to you. And what y'all use Adderall for? You should have been getting some mental medicine. That mental medicine don't freak you out. It don't make you go there. Come on, y'all. Here I come. I'm going to play the first girl first. I like her little because hers is quick. But I'm already here. Let me go here.
The prosecution and defense officially rested their cases in the
Oh, no. I wonder how I would feel though if I was Diddy, knowing all along, my homies been down with whatever I did. News about Donald Trump, a Democrat. Baby, they don't want that DT out. They don't want him. Y'all do know his real last name ain't Trump. It's Dump something. And he changed it. Baby, when I tell you they wearing that ass out. Wearing that ass out. Up in there trying to make deals and stuff on the cool. That's why I caught him this morning talking about I played both y'all. I played both sides. That's why I kept putting it on repeat. Yeah, you played both sides. Now, DT, they played you. They played you. They played you. Let me tell you that now. They play you at your own game. They remember some shit that he did long time ago, and they said, "Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm gonna make sure I got this together. I didn't change the time or nothing. Hey, Crystal. I see you were here. I'm sure you gone now. Okay, let me find old girl. Let me start on her. Yeah, old Donald Trump. Cussing folk out. Ooh, he was hot, wasn't he? He was hot. Let me see. Let me change the screen. Let me change my screen. Oh, DP, are you with me? I go with that. There we go. What is this?
We're back with an update on the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. The defense called no witnesses and quickly rested its case.
No
It'll
witnesses.
go to the jury on Thursday. Prosecutors, on the other hand, called 34 witnesses over 4 weeks, and Combs' defense team feels they made their case on cross-examination. Jurors are at home tonight under strict orders to avoid any news about the trial. Combs pleaded not guilty to all the sex trafficking and racketeering charges.
Let me hear him. Let me hear.
Why are women everywhere?
Let me hear
choosing
Harvey.
Abby X, the new tummy tuck alternative? I got the tummy.
I apologize if this offends anybody, but the fat lady has sung,
Uh-uh.
at least in terms of the testimony in the Diddy case, because the prosecution has rested, and the defense, as we told you the other day, is not going to call a single witness.
He said the fat lady
This
singing?
is going to be over as early as Friday. So the closing arguments are now set for Thursday. Presumably, it will not take more than a day, and the jury could get this case on Friday. Now, I say as early as Friday, I don't think that's going to happen, because based on everything we have heard, this is a complicated case. And I just don't see the jury all agreeing on all counts at the beginning, or even a day or two in. It feels to me, and I may be wrong, but it feels to me like there's going to be a lot of discussion and arguing, because even if they agree on 2 of the counts, the remaining ones they may disagree on, and the judge is going to want some closure on everything to the extent they can do it, certainly before declaring a mistrial. So, look, I see this going into next week. The complicating factor is that next week is the 4th of July. 4th is on Friday. Now, on Thursday, court is closed, but the judge could make the jury continue to
Over the
deliberate
weekend.
Thursday. And even though the court is closed, we could get a jury verdict on a court holiday. We don't know if that's going to happen. We don't know if the judge is going to actually do that, but we know that's an option left up to the judge. So we will see. I got to tell you something before we get into these comments, which are really interesting. The case right now is very scattered on the prosecution's part, because that's the way these cases are. You have a bunch of different witnesses talking about different things. You know, which part is RICO, which part is consent, which part is the Mann Act. This is the key when both sides try to put the case together in closing arguments. I cannot stress to you how important closing arguments are. Thursday is make or break. This is where prosecutors have to paint a picture of Diddy as a racketeer, as someone who cajoles and forces people into these freak-offs, somebody who intentionally brings sex workers from one state to another, paying them money to engage in sexual acts. This is where they have to paint that.
You know, oh man, I can't stand men. I mean, I can, but it's if because the hookers are men, it's as if it don't count. It's as if it don't count. The hookers being paid, that's hard for y'all to fathom. So now you're saying, oh, I just don't know if you're going to be a hooker. Male hookers got paid to do, they need to say, a corn star, because whatever, they got paid for a service. It was a male. But if it was a female, anytime it comes down to a female getting paid for something, oh, it's easy. That's easy to grab. But y'all just can't say that they were male hookers. That he paid them for a service. And he actually paid them more than he paid the females. By Rob. Oh, Lord. Thank you. Ooh. I sure hate to put subscribers only for a whole 2 days. But if they come in there with that stuff, I'm gonna lock it down. I'm gonna put it where can't nobody put no comments. You have to sit there and listen. Thank you, Crystal, for letting me know, because I sure wasn't seeing it. I'm holding this and typing and doing two things, and you know, thank you. Yeah, they come in there with that bull crap. I'm gonna change it to subscribers only and make them have to wait a whole 2 days. So I know they won't be able to say nothing. And then they'll just leave. You got to treat kids like kids, don't you? That's why their asses got records a mile long. Because, you know, you have to be from a, you know, because don't nobody know how old I am. So these people ain't just popped in here. You trolling from a whole nother sector. Yeah. But that's all right. I got somebody on it. Hey, Sharice. So, yeah. Yeah, and he probably a male hooker too. That's why he talking like that. You can show, they can show tell off on that stuff, can't you? Can't they? Let's
Or
go.
closing arguments are. Thursday is make or break. This is where prosecutors have to paint a picture of Diddy as a racketeer, as someone who cajoles and forces people into these freak-offs, somebody who intentionally brings sex workers from one state to another, paying them money to engage in sexual acts. This is where they have to paint that picture and paint it beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, the prosecutor, Comey, is a master at this. She did an amazing job in the Maxwell case. And I would expect she's going to be as compelling as can be on Thursday. Now, the defense has a lot of firepower. I don't know if it's going to be Tenny Garagos or Mark Agnifilo or somebody else. My sense is it's going to be Tenny Garagos who is going to deliver the defense's closing. And we know what they're going to do is they're going to...
Oh, I wish I could be.
Reasonable doubt. They're going to say, we didn't call
I know exactly where I would start.
Its case. And they will go through a litany of things and essentially end with arguing that the prosecution is engaging in bedroom police, that this is a prosecution of bedroom police against Sean Diddy Combs. That's what they are going to argue.
Hi, Mary.
You may have heard that the defense asked today that all the charges be dismissed, that the judge should dismiss them because the prosecution didn't prove its case.
That's normal.
There's a lot less here than meets the eye. This is not unusual. In fact, it's standard operating procedure that the defense does this, and they do it to preserve their right on appeal. The judge almost always denies that motion. It will be denied here. This case will go to the jury. Now, yesterday I asked people to just chime in on winners and losers. That's what we're talking about here. So who is the winner and
Puff
who
Daddy
is the loser
look
at this
like a
point?
snake
And I
on this
invited
picture.
people to comment. There's some real interesting comments.
Oh, that
so
one.
let's go through a couple of them. Okay. This is Miguel Hernandez. Diddy is a freak dude, no doubt about that. But the way all of this is coming out, piece by piece, story after story, it feels less like a search for justice and more like character assassination via legal means. Okay, the next one, Stacy. I don't think the prosecution team has proven its case totally. I think some arguments were put forward, interesting, to shame Diddy. That's kind of an interesting take. Okay.
Let's be clear.
Correct.
Let's be clear. If he didn't want to be shamed, he should have paid her up front. He should have paid her. He know exactly what he did. He just didn't think it was going to come out. So if he didn't want to be shamed, how dare a female talk about this is just the shame Diddy, and he was the main one always threatened to shame somebody. Hi, Beulah. Huh? I'ma put it out. I'ma leak your tape. I'ma send it to your mama job. I'ma show. He was the main person using shaming to coerce them to do what he wanted them to do. So stop stop making excuses for him. If he didn't want to be ashamed, then he shouldn't have been doing it. Don't do nothing that your ass is ashamed of. He took pride and pleasure in it. He thought he was done. The Don. He thought he was the shit. So what are you afraid for now? No, ashamed for what? You could have took a plea, and none of this shit would have came out. But no, you did it. You did it. No, that's what you get. No. And how dare females? They just so, they'll be in line next. Say, okay, I'll be your pen pal. You know? Ugh. Anyway.
It's bedroom policing. It's not a RICO case. It's a FRICO case. Next one.
Does this space feel dated? Oh, wow.
And then these trifling ass women be having all girls and be talking like that about a PDF file.
Okay. Next one. I would say the guy isn't guilty of RICO, nor the 2 counts of sex trafficking of Cassie and Jane. They took individual bad acts from relationships, put them together, and claimed RICO. No criminal enterprise. The next one. I mean, this is interesting. So far, 4 people are saying not guilty.
Because they're criminals.
What's coming out about Diddy lately is seriously disturbing. The way he manipulates people and controls the narrative while maintaining a polished public image reminds me of a book I read called Exquisite Psychopath by Johan Brones. It's not about celebrities, but it perfectly explains how some people hide calculated, harmful behavior behind charm and status.
Absolutely.
After reading it, you start seeing situations like this in a whole new light. I gotta say,
I agree.
this is the most interesting of all, because I think what this person is saying is what the prosecution is going to argue in closing, that you strip the veneer off Diddy, and what you get is this character who is much darker than the person who presents himself as. And I think this is a really strong argument.
Absolutely. And he tried to pull it on the judge.
Conviction.
I just wanted to let you know, Your Honor, you really been doing a good job.
Continued to kick her while she was unconscious.
Yeah.
He dragged her
Probably
back into the room. For the forced labor, that's a no-brainer. For the bribery, a no-brainer. Obstruction of justice, physical violence, drug offenses, etc., all to support his ongoing illegal activities. What was illegal? Illegal drugs, helping trap the women, sex trafficking, controlling women through coercion, etc. all being set up by employees who step up, clean up, brought the drugs, helped in the bribery,
Let's go.
etc. He didn't do it for money. He did it for power. I gotta
Facts.
say,
Facts. Facts.
these are impressive comments. Both
Facts.
sides. That last one felt like a closing argument to me. Okay, next. I
Facts.
studied Homeland Security in college, and I agree with the defense that I am surprised that Homeland Security spends so much time in Puffy's bedroom and very little on terrorism that is happening in our country. Okay, I'm going to read maybe 4 more. If I was a juror, I would have a big conversation with all the jurors and probably get everyone to see that please don't let him date your daughter.
Facts.
He is
Facts.
not a role model or a normal boyfriend to be proud of. I still have reasonable doubt on his charges and would vote on him being not guilty. He's not innocent, but the charges he's up hasn't have not been proven. Okay, couple more. Bring up Iran in his defense just tells me they have nothing and are reaching. That may be rethought, bringing that up. I agree this is a RICO case. They've already proved it's in Cassie's testimony. Plus, he paid her off and still paying another policing in the bedroom about that statement. I'm not sure what that means. I would say, what about all the children that don't have fathers on their birth certificate? That's a policy that should be done, but isn't done
What?
either. Having a little trouble with that one. Okay, 2 more. I'm a woman and I would not find him guilty. This whole case seemed more like a performance for the public from day one. Humiliating and shaming him. If it were strictly a DV case, domestic violence, I would say guilty, but it's not. Is he a bad person? Yes, absolutely. Is he guilty of these charges? No. Courts are supposed to rule on laws, not morals.
Well, the law.
Defense argument in closing.
Yeah,
And
that's
finally,
the defense. You know why? You know why that's a defense argument? Because they try to find loopholes in the law. Because the law is what it is, and he broke the law. See, and this is. Let me tell you the difference in listening to this is, again, a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people are looking at it. Looking at the charges without knowing the facts. But what happens is the judge will give the instructions and the judge will break it down. So whether you think it's RICO or not, how the judge will have it broke down, and you will see, okay, that's a RICO? Yes, baby, that's a RICO. That's part of RICO. See, this is the problem. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge that some of the things that they do or some of the things that they are okay with is RICO. Because the minute they recognize that it's RICO, then you know. Then you know. I mean, you already know. But then you can't say you don't know. Yeah, I mean, because, it's a whole bunch of hoes out there. No disrespect, and okay with getting money for, shit. Make up every excuse on why they, getting paid to pay their bills. So, and we'll travel to go and get it. I mean, if we gonna keep it real. So they definitely don't want to say that that's trafficking. I said I'm not arguing with nobody. You can say what you want to say. That's cool. I don't have to know your opinion. IRS, I don't have to know your opinion. So come back another. Oh no, I totally blocked you. Yeah, I don't care what you say. So yeah. so these people don't want to be held responsible for their actions. So they don't want to call themselves a trafficker. And it is what it is.
It's kinky, toxic lifestyle. That's their business and their choice. That.
Not when it breaks the law.
Okay, couple more. Bring up Iran in his defense just tells me they have nothing and are reaching. That may be
Not having none of his homeboys that be at these sex, but they haven't went to that arena yet. Yeah.
Agree this is a RICO case. They've already proved
They have.
in Cassie's testimony. Plus, he paid her off and still paying another policing in the bedroom about that statement. I'm not sure what that means. I would say, what about all the children that don't have fathers on their birth certificate?
Oh, I won't bet
That's a
you.
policy that should be done, but isn't done either. Having a little trouble with that one. Okay, two more. I'm a woman, and I would not find him guilty. This whole case seemed more like a performance for the public from day one. Humiliating and shaming him. If it were strictly a DV case, domestic violence, I would say guilty, but it's not. Is he a bad person? Yes, absolutely. Is he guilty of these charges? No. Courts are supposed to rule on laws, not morals. That's a defense argument in closing. And finally, these adults were into this kinky, toxic lifestyle. That's their business and their choice. That kind of lifestyle can turn dangerous, of course, but they all participated willingly. My body, my choice can't just be a slogan when used as a convenient method. So that's a smattering of what people are saying. And I gotta say, some of these things are the very things you're gonna hear what the lawyers on both sides are going to be saying in court on Thursday. Again, the jury could get this case Friday. We could get a verdict as early as Friday. I don't think that's going to happen. So stay tuned. And I'm also told that when a verdict comes down, the judge is not going to have a long interlude before reading it. It's going to happen quick.
Oh, because but he see how he didn't want to give a winner or loser. It's funny because that I want to see if he have integrity, if he gonna keep it real, and he won't.
Big news. Let's
Wow.
head to New York City now. Our breaking news. The defense has just rested their case in the federal sex trafficking and racketeering trial against Sean Diddy Combs. Joining us live from outside the courthouse. We think we may have lost her due to a technical issue. So do want to talk about what's amazing. I just want to sum up is she did a hit with us not too long ago, within the last hour and a half maybe, that the prosecution had wrapped up. And since that time, here's what we know that we can share with you. Sean Diddy Combs did address the court to say, I'm not going to testify. And now the defense has rested.
And the judge better watch out because he like me too.
They were going to read some things into the record. Still with us, criminal defense attorney, former district attorney Matthew Mangino. I almost fell out of my chair. I did understand they said we're not going to present any witnesses. I'm surprised, but that was their choice. They were going to read some things into the record, but golly, that was really quick to go to the defense is done.
Didn't nobody want to be no witness for Diddy?
Me a bit, Judge Ashley. I mean,
when all that stuff came out, didn't nobody want to be associated with that mess?
A little bit, and then all of a sudden, they're not going to put any evidence on at all.
But I thought it was legal. If it was legal, if it wasn't racketeering, then why ain't nobody standing up for Diddy? Shit. They know it's racketeering. They know R. Kelly got hit with it. He ain't the first, and he won't be the last.
They must be pretty confident. They banged away at the witnesses for the prosecution, and I think they've tried to make this case more about consent than anything else. And
hey, Philip Drummond.
Diddy's a bad guy.
Double tap the screen. Thank you, Irene.
And you probably don't like Diddy, but he's not involved in racketeering. He's not involved in sex trafficking. That's not what this amounts to. So that must be their strategy.
And I do think they were smart to lean into it and even go further and say, yeah, it may have been a crime that he hit Cassie Ventura, and they admitted these are crimes. But to your point, not sex trafficking, they say, as well as the not racketeering. I want to read what Combs told the judge. Here's what he had to say.
He was flirting with the judge.
Great, Your Honor. I've been wanting to tell you thank you. You're doing an excellent job. This is the first time I've seen these words. A little unusual, I think, for a defendant to thank the judge. And then we have Judge Submaramian saying, thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Let's
he
come
didn't
out on
kick his
that
ass
one.
out.
That seems a little unusual, but it might be keeping it with the personality of Sean Diddy Combs.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard a lot of strange things during the course of this trial. This doesn't seem out of the norm for Diddy or other people that we see in front of the court. You're in some cases you're screaming at the judge and they have to take you out of the courtroom. And in this case, before a verdict even comes in, you're saying, thanks, you did a good job. We'll see what he thinks about his job after the verdict comes in.
Yeah, after this verdict. So let's talk about the two different charges. The trafficking charge, if the jury believes that any of the there was traveling across state lines. Does consent even matter? Because there were multiple witnesses who described getting all of the stuff, whether it was the drugs, whether it was the whatever product he wanted to have there, the Astroglide. They got it all to a hotel. They set it up. They transported sex workers to get there. Is that enough for the trafficking piece?
Well, I think that the prosecution in their closing argument is going to work backward. Okay, they're going to start with this promoting prostitution, and then that's been conceded here, and then work your way back and start building on the sex trafficking and the racketeering as it relates to that transportation of prostitution, because there's nobody contesting that issue. So I think that might be the way the prosecution approaches their closing in this case.
And that makes sense. It makes good sense. I know the prosecution is saying for the racketeering, the law says you have to have a criminal enterprise, but they did bring on different witnesses and different people, the personal assistant for the defendant who worked for him, to add that they were involved or they're piece of the puzzle. So I think arguably a jury could find racketeering. Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's going to come down to, in this case, and I don't always say this, that it comes down to the closing argument, but I think in this case, the prosecution, they have a lot of...
Please get my likes up.
Can connect all those dots. I think working back from the promoting prostitution, they just might get there with regard to the sex trafficking and ultimately the racketeering charge.
Every closing argument
as it relates to that transportation.
Get my likes up. Hi, it's this
of prostitution, because there's nobody contesting that issue.
What you wait? So what?
Whether it was the drugs, whether it was the whatever product he wanted to have there, the Astra Glide, they got it all to a hotel. They set it up. They transported sex workers to get there. Is that enough for the trafficking piece?
Well, I think that the prosecution in their closing argument is going to work backward. Okay, they're going to start with this promoting prostitution. And then, that's been conceded here. And then work your way back and start building on the sex trafficking and the racketeering as it relates to that transportation of prostitution, because there's nobody contesting that issue. So I think.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Latoya. I broke that down earlier. You don't come over here often enough.
It makes good sense.
I don't beat that with a baseball bat. I definitely showed that last night. So
enterprise,
you may want to
different witnesses and different people.
And I'm not here to debate that. I done already proved that my T-sippers know you're not a regular, but I respectfully. If you want to go, just even watch the ones yesterday. The ones yesterday with Rico, the sex worker Rico Suave. He told it all. So I don't know why you can't see it. Some of y'all may be prostitutes and shit in real life, and y'all just don't want to see it because y'all don't want to give up trafficking. I don't know. But I don't know. And some of y'all may be all about doing something strange for a piece of change to get you a baller. I don't know. But it's fascinating to me that so many people, especially females, and some of them got kids, girls, and y'all want to play dumb and act like y'all don't see trafficking. So y'all may want to look it up. Because a whole lot of people done broke it down. So at this point, I just feel like y'all want to play dumb, and I don't feel like playing with you tonight. So you may want to go ahead and leave, because I don't want to play. Because I done showed it. Every night I show it. Every night I show it. So you coming over here today telling me you don't see it, that means either you don't come over here, I'm not, but that's my, okay, but still don't come over here and you I show it every night. I show it every night. So now you trying to play with me. Because I make it real clear. Real clear. So I don't want to play with you. I just don't. So shh. Be quiet for me, okay? Respectfully, I ain't trying to be mean. But I don't know what you do in real life. You may like fucking niggas and getting paid for it. I don't know. I don't know. But don't come playing with me. Tonight ain't a good night. Okay, let's go.
People, the personal assistant for the defendant who worked for him, to
keep your opinion to yourself.
Add that they were involved or they're piece of the puzzle. So I think arguably a jury could find.
Okay, look. They said at least 3 of them said that they had never went anywhere and performed sexually. They went there to be entertainment, strippers. Okay, so they never went there, neither one of them. They went there, they were hired. Let me say it this way. When they were called to do a bachelorette party, some type of party. Once he got there, Diddy, I'm talking about the one last night. Once he got there, Diddy opened the door, told him, say, let me tell you what I got going on. This is what I want. So he had no idea he wasn't stripping. He wasn't being a stripper. They were hired. Okay, I want you to hear me. They were hired. They called them to be a stripper or entertainer. They did not call them to be porn stars. Oh boy asked him that. Had you done it before? And he said no. So where you got that from, I don't know, because that's not what he said. Cameron asked him, well, had you done it before? I mean, is it times where you that's what you being hired from? And he said, no. So when he went in there, he told him, let me tell you what I got going on. And, you know, I like to do my own corn films. Oh, and when you see her, you gonna like her, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then she came out. He started telling her what he wanted out of this performance. He wanted all that baby oil. He said, I mean, that's enough. No filming. You know, let me close your laptop down. Period. He didn't go in there to be a male hooker. They got turned out. Okay? Latoya, bye. I'm gonna have to let you go. I mean, I don't know what makes you think I don't watch. So this is your first time over here, so you don't know who I watch. And you over here arguing with me, and you don't know who I watch. You see what I'm saying? So now I'm thinking that somebody sent you. Because you don't even know who I watch. You understand? So that means you sitting here debating and arguing with me, and I do watch the people who be in court. So what you talking about? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go.
Hearing your thoughts?
Well, I think it's going to come down to, in this case, and I don't know.
Hold on. For the record, only because he cute and he fine. Let me entertain. But it's going to cut me off on something else. I can't stand this stuff. And when I tell you they've been doing this on every damn case. Hold on. I'm going to entertain it because I'm going to entertain it. But don't nobody else coming to ask me nothing like this. And I mean that. I need to go watch the people who go, like I don't. Girl, you slow. You late to the party. You real late. You very late. You very late. But only because I snapped at her, I'm a entertain it. I'm a entertain it. I'm a entertain it. Come on. Where is that? I'm a entertain it. But this the only one. Next time hit my super chat, super sticker, or send a cash app. You got me deviating. Yeah. And it's your first time over here because you don't even know who I watch. But I'm gonna shut you up though. I'm gonna shut you up.
And he says,
you live life without regrets.
And once I show you, don't come back saying, yeah, but no. This was one of the sex workers.
She did give me all. I spoke to show. I want to get back to a couple things you said, but I want to stay here. When you told him don't fresh off trial.
Man, what's happening? I'm blessed, my dude. How you doing?
Shit, everything. And first of all, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, man. And we know a lot's been going on in the media and the news and all the publicity surrounding this trial. And I can imagine the last thing that you would think of, that you would get subpoenaed to go talk about what you do in a federal court case. So I know all this is probably a lot for you the last few weeks.
Rico Suave.
Yeah, man, they caught me off guard. It's been a lot.
Yeah,
a lot for sure.
I can imagine. So listen.
Okay, so let's be clear.
A lot of people.
Let's be clear. I don't have to ask nobody who been in the courtroom. He was hired. He was one that was hired. Rico. His name has been recently brought up. So miss me with the other people. He was one of the hired male hookers. Okay? Okay? And I'm going to see if you have integrity. Yeah, or if you're going to find another way to come around it and still say you don't see it.
Or just get clips off Instagram or what's going on the trial or social media or the
shout out to Cameron,
Hollywood, all the gossip pages, and they may not know initially what's going on. They're just taking bits and pieces. So let's kind of run
bits and pieces.
How did this initially happen? How did
Ruben
and Jane Doe get in contact with you?
I work with an agency and they got contact with me through the agency.
Okay, what kind of agency is this?
Like a companion escort agency that also book like entertainers to dance for like bachelorette and birthday parties as well.
So the first time you met Puff and Jane Doe, where was this at exactly?
It was at the Edition in Hollywood.
Okay, and how did that go when you first arrived there? So they reached out through this company that you work for, just so I'm clear. You get booked. When you get there, are you thinking you're going there to dance? Let's ask this question first. Is this what you do, or do you dance, or you also escort?
I dance, but with this agency, it's a lot of the time when they book, it's like a lady that wants to go to an event, or a couple and the husband wants you to dance for his wife, or go out to an event and be with her.
Right.
Kind of like a companion escort agency.
Is that right?
A lot of times it's bachelorette and birthdays.
So, because when I spoke to
is she listening?
He was saying that this isn't what he does. He just usually.
Oh wow! Right there, real early.
You usually be.
This ain't what he does. This. Can y'all put some ones in the chat if y'all heard him say the other stripper said? I mean, the other male hooker said, this is not what he does. I need to see a bunch of ones if y'all heard that. Early on, Cameron said the other stripper said, this is not what he does. Okay? Can I get some ones? I'm going to play it again before I stop it. This ain't what he does.
Fucking niggas, bitches. That's kind of what you do anytime besides this. Contact with you.
I work with an agency and they got contact with me through the agency.
Okay, what kind of agency is this?
Like a companion escort agency that also book like entertainers to dance for like bachelorette and birthday parties as well.
So the first time you met Puff and Jane Doe, where was this at exactly?
It was at the Edition in Hollywood.
Okay, and how did that go when you first arrived there? So they reached out through this company that you work for, just so I'm clear. You get booked. When you get there, are you thinking you're going there to dance? Let's ask this question first. Is this what you do, or do you dance, or you also escort?
I dance, but with this agency, it's a lot of the time when they book, it's like a lady that wants to go to an event, or a couple and the husband wants you to dance for his wife, or go out to an event and be with her. Right. Kind of like a companion escort agency. But a lot of times it's bachelorette and birthdays.
So, because when I spoke to Sheree,
did we hear sex in there?
He was saying that this isn't what he does. He just usually dances. This was kind of a first time thing.
So when he talked to Sheree, which is the Punisher, he says this is not what he does. I need some ones in the chat, because I don't want nobody coming back saying that ain't what he says. Sheree is the Punisher. Sheree is the one who thought that he had made a little connection with Freezer Meat. That's Sheree. This ain't what he does. Come on, y'all. Give me some ones. There's 239 people in here. Give me some ones. Yeah, don't get quiet now that I'm proving what she said wrong. I don't care who she talked to that be in the courtroom. Hell, they may be hookers and shit on the side too. I don't care nothing about none of that. I don't care nothing about none of that. Go watch the people who be in there. Now I'm talking to the male hookers right here. Hell you mean?
Usually be fucking niggas bitches. That's kind of what you do anytime besides this?
No, it's mostly dancing.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering. It's just...
What'd he say, y'all? What'd he say? No. You so do you normally be ucking niggas? No. Please don't come over here with fake propaganda, because I'm a break you down. I've been doing this way too long. Okay?
Mainly dancing. So explain to me, you get to the audition, you get to the room. What happens when you get to the room? You go up the elevator, get to the room. Who opens the door or who's there? How does this initial first introduction go?
When I knock on the door, Puff opens the door at first.
Fuck out of here.
And I walk in.
Get the fuck. Yeah. So did you know this though, or you just think that you're going for what you usually do?
I had to sign the NDA before I went there, so like they kind of told me it was a celebrity client.
Got you, but you didn't know it was going to be them.
No.
All right, so let's lay this out. You get there, Puff opens the door. Clue. Pardon me?
I had a clue.
Oh, you had a clue.
Like I had. Yeah.
Got you. So you get there, Puff opens the door. How does that introduction go when you open the door and you see it's Puff?
I just dap him off and I walk in and he asked me if I knew who he was and I was like, no, and he tells me his name and I'm like, I knew who he was, but I was just like, and he was like, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Bad Boys, and I was like, and he played some music, I'm like, oh yeah, that's you. And he's like, well, let's go sit on the balcony.
He played his own music to let you know he was, like he played Bad Boy music and shit? Yeah. He started dancing and shit, he just played the music when he...
he just played the music, and I was like, oh, yeah.
All right, so, nigga play, Puff a ill nigga. Nigga got theme music. It's a wild nigga. So, he opens the door, you walk in, and y'all go chill for a second, you said?
Yeah, like I walk in the living room and there was like Ty was laying on the couch and the floor and shit. And I'm like, all right, it's interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on?
Right.
And he's like, yeah, come let's sit in the back so I can tell you what's up.
Right.
And then we go to the little balcony or whatever. And he's just like asking me about my career and how long I've been with the agency and what I do.
Right.
And like we ran there for like 20 minutes. And he was like, talking about he likes porn and he's at a point in his career where he likes to curate.
Have I proved myself yet, y'all?
And then he started bragging. He was like, I got a girl in sex and you.
Have I proved myself yet? Have I proved her wrong? I'm just curious. Is he saying everything I said?
To let you know he was, like he played Bad Boy music and shit? He started dancing and shit. He just played the music when he
just played the music. I was like, oh yeah.
All right, so nigga play Puff a ill nigga. Nigga got theme music. It's a wild nigga. So he opens the door. You walk in.
How do
and y'all go chill for a second. You said.
Yeah, like I walk in the living room and there was like Ty was laying on the couch and the floor and shit. And I'm like, all right, it's interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on?
Right.
He's like, yeah, come let's sit in the back so I can tell you what's up.
Right.
Oh, okay, so he didn't know what was up.
And he's just like asking me about my career and how long I've been with the agency and what I do.
Right.
And like we ran there for like 20 minutes and he was like talking about he likes porn and he's at a point in his career where he likes to curate and make his own porn.
Okay.
And then he started bragging. He was like, I got a girl in sex and you gonna look
He ain't know nothing about it.
And then he tells her to come out.
Y'all understand now?
Missouri's unpredictable weather.
He wasn't no
bragging. He was like, I got a girl in sexy, you gonna love her.
So he
and
Puppy had to tell him what he was into and what this was about. So what they hired him for, he flipped the script once he got there. Okay? So he turned them into male hookers because of money. They sold a pallywhacker, they pipe, they extra long hot dog for an extra $3,000. Once he told him what he was doing, and he said he was making corn. Oh, okay. Yeah. When you come from being timed out, I do accept apologies.
And she comes out in like lingerie, and we just like chill and smoke for about 30 minutes. And he was like, "This is what I want to do. I want you to stand talking to her. I want her to stand at the end of the balcony."
Oh, and so he directing?
Like, all right,
Oh, he directing. Oh, so he is a corn director. Oh, okay. So I thought that they was just there. So now he is a corn director, and he's giving instructions: lights, camera, action. So they not there to entertain him. They there to work, and he's paying them for a service. And he's paying them more because what they came for really ain't what he wanted. Let's go.
In the bar, you walk in and y'all just meet, and he tells her action, and she just goes to like playing it. Like, "Hey, how you doing? What's your name?" So I'm like, "All right, I'll just play the role."
No, you can't. You can go.
For like
bye.
3 minutes.
Don't ever come back.
So get to the addition. Puff opens the door.
That's enough. I don't prove myself. Let me go on back. Thank you. You don't put your foot in your mouth. Fuck all y'all. Now, I'm going back to what I was doing. How about that? You played yourself. You messed that up for everybody. Now, how about that? If you want it, get my Cash App or my Super Chat Super Stickers. I'm going back to what I was doing in the first place. Since you want to open your mouth. I said today wasn't the day. So let me go back to where I was. Thank you very much.
Were involved or their piece of the puzzle. So I think arguably a jury could find racketeering. Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's going to come down to, in this case, and I don't know,
and different people, the personal assistant for the defendant who worked for him, to add that they were involved or their piece of the puzzle. So I think arguably a jury could find racketeering. Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's going to come down to, in this case, and I don't always say this, that it comes down to the closing argument, but I think in this case, the prosecution, they have a lot of stuff out there that they presented to this jury. They got to connect all the dots now. And if they can connect all those dots, I think working back from the promoting prostitution,
they need me
they just
to
might
connect
get
them
there
dots
with
for
regard
them.
to
the one who got away,
sex trafficking, and ultimately the racketeering charge.
Every closing argument I've ever watched, which is many in my career, I've always thought if there could just be a simpler way to spoon feed the jury in your closing. Oh, I know, a demonstrative aid. This is what the law requires, and here's what we've proven with which piece of evidence. And I think they're going to really have to spoon feed it because these charges are complex. Even as attorneys, I've read over it and over it again to make sure I understand properly what the charge says. It's a lot for the jury to decide. Let's listen to this. Talking about those witnesses, I want to listen to testimony about getting drugs for P. Diddy.
After you obtained drugs from Mr. Combs, what typically did you do with them?
Either gave them directly to him or put them in his Gucci pouch.
What is the Gucci pouch?
It's just a place where we would keep drugs.
Who told you to put the drugs in the Gucci pouch?
Something I learned from former assistants.
Who did the Gucci pouch belong to?
Mr. Combs.
Where did Mr. Combs keep the Gucci pouch?
Kept it in a backpack, or he kept it in his room or on his person.
Which staff members, if any, handled the Gucci pouch?
Assistants.
Did the security ever handle the Gucci pouch?
Not that I'm aware of.
Under what circumstances did the assistants handle the Gucci pouch?
Just whenever he'd ask for it.
Of course, those were AI generated. Those were not the actual voices. But we now have Kelly Craft there on the ground. Kelly, I feel like I blinked and it went from the prosecution rested to the defense is rested.
Hi there, Judge Ashley. Yes. So it was just about 3:07 that defense counsel began presenting its case, and then it was very short. They began doing some stipulations and then reading into the record just some evidence in regard to messages that particular Cassie Ventura sent. And so I can tell you about that in just a few minutes, but I do want to start with what you were mentioning, and this was the exchange between the judge and Sean Diddy Combs. And I kind of want to show you, if I can, as to what Sean Combs was doing when he stood up and he was talking to the judge, because of course there are no cameras inside the federal courtroom, so we are your eyes and ears from inside that courtroom. So kind of talking with you about his demeanor and what he was doing. Well, we have the full screen up for you now, so I can tell you what it says. He said, "I'm doing great, Your Honor. I've been wanting to tell you, thank you. You're doing an excellent job." And the judge said, "Thank you. I do appreciate it." And when he was asking Sean, if you want to come back to me on camera, when he was asking Sean how he's feeling and if this was actually your decision, solely my decision, he was saying, he kind of like leaned in, Judge Ashley, when he was on the table. So he leaned in and then looked over at his attorneys and said, "It was my decision in conjunction with my attorney." So it was kind of an interesting moment that was inside that courtroom.
Wow, that is, it's fascinating to hear some of those things that you get to see firsthand because, and why he worded it that way, maybe because the attorneys told him to. All right, what do we expect next, please, ma'am?
Well, so things are over for the day here in Lower Manhattan. So the things that are going to be coming up next, the charge conference, and then of course closing arguments that are going to be taking place on Thursday, and then we're hearing Friday. And what we're hearing now is that the jury may not even begin their deliberations until Monday. So that is what we are hearing. We're still waiting for some confirmation on that, but that's what we're hearing now. So definitely we're hearing that this case is going to move into next week, and then of course with the 4th of July holiday, things would most likely be wrapped up before then with a verdict in this case.
All right, Kelly Craft, great. Thank you for your great eyes and ears there this entire trial.
What's my next one? Hold on. I don't like your name. Yeah, don't come in here. Nope. I'm gonna get y'all out of here. I'm gonna tell you right now. And get my lights up. Y'all think I'm playing. I'm really not. Who is that? What did she say? Let me see what she said.
Regarding count 1, Mr. Combs is entitled to acquittal. The government has failed to meet the legal requirements for RICO.
you could buy on your own. You could get a lender, get showings, get through all the paperwork, get an inspector, get into negotiations, get a stress rash, and finally get ready to close. Or you could get an agent who's a realtor with the expertise and ethical training to make home happen.
Look back at the beginning of what will be a big week in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. The prosecution intends to rest its case tomorrow, and defense attorneys confirming today that Mr. Combs will not take the witness stand. And they also plan to rest without calling any witnesses. In the meantime, the special agent for Homeland Security Investigations back on the stand today. And in just a moment, we're going to be joined by ABC News legal contributor Bernarda Villalona to dig deeper into everything that unfolded in court today. But first up with a recap.
She's an attorney.
Here's Darla Miles.
What might seem to be a boring, uneventful day of testimony could end up being the most compelling in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking and racketeering trial. Monday morning, Combs, attorneys for both sides, and jurors all wearing headphones, viewing excerpts of hotel night videos with Jane, while the rest of the courtroom sat silently for nearly 45 minutes. Special Agent Joseph Cerciello, returning to the stand, verifying financial and digital records admitted as evidence, also reviewing multiple hours of videotapes. Prosecutors asking, did you review the videos in this chart? Cerciello answering yes. Generally, what do these videos show? Cerciello answering, they are sexually explicit. Prosecutors then asking, who were you able to recognize in the video? Cerciello answering, I was able to recognize an individual by the name of Cabral, going on to add, Sean Combs. Federal prosecutors rounding out their 7-week-long case with testimony related to the charge of transportation for purposes of prostitution, outlining how Combs could spend anywhere from $900 to $5,000 on male escorts alone.
Pause. Hold on. Who is Cowboy? He only got a hold on. So they got paper trail. Slife got 5,000, Paul 3, Arthur 3, Antoine 3,500, Cabral 900, Cowboy for Angels. Oh, that's what I was gonna say a while ago. It was sounding like he had a hookup with the Cowboys for Angels. Like she was a part of their trafficking situation. Cause why is Cowboy for Angels getting paid? Why are they getting a percentage of $1,100? Okay. Paper trail. Hi, A's World. They got a paper trail.
To $5,000 on male escorts alone. Jurors also hearing a recording of Combs booking an escort with an agency, saying, I'll send info and stop raising my rates. I'm a long timer. Defense attorneys beginning their cross-examination late Monday afternoon, directing attention to some financial records never reviewed by Special Agent Cielo when Combs used his personal bank account to pay for some expenses. Defense attorneys also reading text messages Jane sent to escorts on her own. One reading,
hold on.
I'm free to...
They said he sometimes used his own personal account, right? So if he don't use his personal account, what other account he used? Business. So he used Home Enterprises for free to do corn. He sometimes uses his. Let's listen.
To escorts on her own. One reading, I'm free tomorrow. I can fly you out tomorrow, or I can fly you out. Combs used his personal bank account to pay.
Who is he?
Defense attorneys beginning their cross-examination late Monday afternoon, directing attention to some financial records never reviewed by Special Agent Cielo when Combs used his personal bank account to pay for some expenses. Defense attorneys all...
Okay, he should always use his own personal account to pay for it if this is pleasure, right? So she made that sound like That ain't what he normally do, but sometimes he uses his own personal account to pay for these male hookers. So that's saying, how else does he normally pay for it if he only sometimes uses his own personal credit card for it? He used the Comb Enterprises, or he used the corporate card to pay for hookers. Oh, okay.
Also reading text messages Jane sent to escorts on her own. One reading, I'm free tomorrow. I can fly you out tomorrow, or I can fly you out tonight.
Dorothy.
The escort named Cabral responding, yes, I am, baby. I'm definitely down. Would love to see you. And another text message exchange reads in part, want to come to Miami tomorrow? I have a small freedom window. Cabral answering, I would really love to see you, but I have a chef gig. Jane then responding, come after your chef gig.
And before we forget, maybe a week, was it Cassie? Yeah, it had to be, was it? I don't remember. There are times that, was it Cassie? Where he would get her phone and he would be responding and setting up hookups like it's her, one of the females, and it don't be them, it be him. Y'all don't remember that? He got the phone and he contacted him and was talking for her. Yeah. Don't forget that. And also, yeah, definitely don't forget that. And definitely don't forget that they like role playing. Oh, so some of these conversations sometimes it could very well be role playing because he's a corn star director, remember? Y'all be forgetting a lot of stuff. Y'all be forgetting a lot of details. Yeah. And also remember, even stripping or whatever, when they I don't, in that life, they sell fantasies. So hey baby, all of that type of stuff, all of that, it's still selling fantasies. That's why the Punisher thought the old girl really was digging him. Yeah.
Now, closing arguments are expected to take place on Thursday. However, on Wednesday, the day before, prosecutors and defense attorneys are going to come together for a charge conference. They have to decide what the charging instructions will be for the jury, and that might take longer than expected.
Oh, thanks to Darla.
Because there's a lot of charges.
So Darla kind of set it up with, it sounds like it was very tedious, very sort of details, this summary described. Take me inside court. What was it like in there today?
Yeah, so today was only one witness that was on the stand, and that was a summary witness. And this summary witness in particular was testifying to events having to deal with Jane, not having to deal with Cassie at all. It's all having to deal with Jane. In terms of the testimony itself, direct examination took all of this morning. And again, attorney Comey was going to literally line by line almost of having to deal with text messages, dealing with invoices, dealing with voice notes.
Oh, my bad.
Dealing with some of these hotel night explicit videos, to the point at one point I was timing it, and it seemed that the jury for over 40 minutes were watching these sex videos, to the point that the witness that was on the stand, like literally, he was the one that was feeling the most uncomfortable, because I think the jurors at this point were literally not just stoic, showing no emotion, not offended by it at all, I think, from dealing with 7 weeks of this testimony. But the witness on the stand was visibly turning red as he was watching these same videos. But that really lasted the entire day. The defense went and they started started their cross-examination in the afternoon after lunch, but they literally only had about an hour of cross-examining this witness. And what they focused on, they also put in some video, and it's the same videos that the prosecution put into evidence, but they were focused on other aspects of the video. Particular, I believe the aspects that they were focusing on are probably where Jane was directing the action, directing the sex act, seeming as the most confident and the person that was taking charge inside of the room, to try to show that this wasn't something that she was forced to actually do, but more of that she wanted to engage in. They also did that with text messages as well. So
yeah, but it came out. It definitely came out.
Messages, selected videos,
but they didn't zero in on it.
And the defense, they went and attacked it by saying, you never saw this summary witness, right? You weren't shown this. In fact, all the evidence that you testified to was all chosen by who? The prosecution team. They're going to continue going through that same line of questioning tomorrow, and hopefully by tomorrow before lunchtime, they'll be able to finish a cross-examination of this witness.
Now, we heard Darla mention that on Wednesday, we expect this charging conference to happen. Now, explain what that is and how important that is.
Yes. So the charging conference is where all the parties, the prosecution as well as the defense, and with the judge present, they start arguing as to what is the jury charge? What is this jury going to listen as to what is the law? What is their direction? And it's really important because remember, in the end, once the judge gives this jury the instructions, they have to follow the instructions that are given to them in terms of
right there. So how you feel once the judge give you them instructions? Hey Nate, once the judge give you the instructions, how you feel, what you think RICO is, all of that, it goes out the door. It goes out the window. It definitely goes out the window. Because he gives you instructions and how he's going to have his instructions set up. And based off of all the evidence, he going to know if you are intentionally throwing it. And if you are confused about it, because after y'all get in there and start deliberating, and if y'all confused, then the foreperson going to have to go out there and say, Judge, we need some clarity on this, that, and the other. We need for you to further break down SCX trafficking by fraud. Because whether y'all want to say somebody is willing or not, you still cannot break the law. You can't switch it up. You can't bait and switch. You cannot be a car salesman because somebody was willing or was down with it. Because what they approve. This is why I promise. I don't know if maybe this is what's kind of irritating. I cannot stand people who do that bait and switch. Because all that is manipulating in line. Don't sell me on this. And once I say, okay, yeah, you paint a picture, to get somebody to come in and say, okay. And then once you get in, and as detailed as I am, I be looking for it to be exactly what you told me it was going to be. And the minute you start deviating, then I'm feeling like you lied. You got some integrity issues. So that's what happened. Whether we want to believe it or not, or maybe we don't look at it that way. When them male guys went in to dance for a bachelorette party, because that's how they set that up. And then you get there, you see it's Diddy, and you like, okay. And you saying, yeah, man, da-da-da-da. This is what I got really going on. So you don't need me to dance. I need for you to be a part. You was chosen to be in this SCX movie. But you gonna like the chick. I'm gonna tell you everything I need for you to do for this one. And everybody can say, well, yeah, he had every right to turn it down. Yes, he had every right to turn it down. But that's coercion. That's whether they didn't have to accept the offer or not. The minute you hired him to do this, and then they get there thinking that's what they gonna do. They got prepared. They did everything. You want a cowboy Indian. You want a police to come out. You want me to handcuff. So whatever you chose, they got prepared to do that service. Thank you for the jewels, Dorothy. You get there. He would say, Playboy, let me talk to you. Da, da, da. He sold you a dream. Because whether we want to look at it or not, Diddy played the strippers too. He played the male dancers. He turned their asses. So why y'all saying can't nobody do this? Can't nobody that these people know? Yeah, just like the male guys, the male strippers, entertainers got turned right out and became male hookers. He turned male entertainers who was doing a legitimate business through an agency, right? Went there to perform with their cowboy. He got his whatever, a police officer, whatever. He like pulled him over to the side and he flipped them and turned their asses into hoes. You can't do that. I mean, you can, but there's a name and the baby oil. Yeah. It's just like, I mean, I try to get as gutter as I can so that we can understand it as a culture. It's just like somebody, again, I'm going to say that's already on the streets. She already walked the streets. She don't care nothing about giving up her cookie to get her license shit cut off. But the minute she stay okay and somebody snatch her off and DRUGG. No, it's just one. Just and ugged her up, and now she in a room and tied up, and then somebody be saying, well, she already was that don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing because that's what somebody was already doing. You can't get nobody no pass for that. And then anytime you switch it around, you bait somebody in and you sell them a dream, they thinking they getting paid for this, and you string them along and all of that. You know, some people go say they got a gift of gab. Well, gift of gab can pull you into a RICO. Some people don't want to get it. That's cool. But I promise you, your name come across and it makes the headline news, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to tell you that now.
That have been given to them in terms of what is the law?
They were hired to dance. Yes, Tony. They were hired to dance. That's what I was trying to, show the girl, because I was a little rough with her. That's why Cameron asked her, well, man, is this what you do? Is this what you do? Is you just, go over there and bang on a nigga woman back? No. He go over there to perform and dance. Typically, it's normally bachelorettes, but there have been occasions where somebody can't be an escort, I don't know, and they need an escort to go to a function. So sometimes he do functions, but he did not do sex. Do we understand? He not the only one that said that. The freeze the meat guy said it, and the other guy that we watched last week, I don't know his name. He said that too. So Let's go.
Racketeering. What is racketeering conspiracy? What is predicate acts? What are the predicate acts? How you should evaluate these predicate acts? What is sex trafficking? What is transportation to engage in prosecution?
That's what the judge is going to be doing. So when she said that the judge's orders, he gonna lay it out. He gonna make it as easy for you to take you out the hood and put you into what the law is. Because a lot of people I've noticed who think they know the law don't know the law. And I know some people don't like it, but that's why I like when Boosie. I like it when he said, man, that's just a freak. Oh, that's just a freak out. He said, but they gon' get us on the back end. You right. Y'all can play dumb all you want to. They gonna get that ass on the back end. Cause they already know who doing it. They already know. Somebody done already dropped the dime. Somebody done already said this shit is bigger than you think. I already know it is. I already know it is. Drummond, you still in here drumming. Will you tell these people, I already know it's bigger than what we could ever imagine. I said this 4 years ago. Now, I didn't know it was Diddy. I am honest enough to say my eyes was on Jay-Z more than it was on Diddy, but hell, they two peas in a pod. But I already knew that it was bigger. And it's still bigger. Yeah. So Boosie, I need to let y'all hear that because it sounds like y'all been at the wrong places. Y'all been over there listening to these people who y'all don't even realize they working together. One of them is is taking on for the prosecution. One is taking over for the defense, and they. Yeah, child, please. Let me finish playing this. I don't even want to talk about how they playing on y'all, but let's go.
The end. Once the judge gives this jury their instructions, they have to follow the instructions that have been given to them in terms of what is the law, what is the definition of racketeering, what is racketeering conspiracy, what is predicate acts, what are the predicate acts, how you should evaluate these predicate acts.
And y'all, please, somebody in here for real. I don't want people in here that are. Can somebody please? How can y'all act like this is this ain't racketeering, and they done already got Ira Kelly on it? They got when Ira Kelly got sent up the river for 31 years. Y'all was saying that wasn't racketeering then. Yeah, so this ain't the first time. So if you didn't know it was racketeering with Ira Kelly, and you watch Ira Kelly get found guilty more than once, huh? Why y'all still acting brand new? Y'all was saying then the people's parents gave them. It don't matter. That don't matter. That don't matter. It don't matter that the parents gave permission. You still can't break the law. You still can't. You can't do what you want to do with them people. And because that's how a lot of people think, I understand why a lot of people go to jail.
What is sex trafficking? What is transportation to engage in prosecution? How do I evaluate the defendant not testifying? How do I evaluate evidence? What is beyond a reasonable doubt? All of that is encompassed in this jury charge and is what is discussed at the charging conference, because in the end, this jury is going to be left with the evidence that they heard, the testimony that they heard, the exhibits that are in evidence, the summary charts, but more importantly, that jury charge that is given to them.
Well, the jury will not hear from Mr.
The jury charge.
That's
and
right.
The jury will not hear the defense put up a case. What do you make of that decision?
Yeah, so the defendant has not officially...
Did y'all hear her? the jury charge. So in essence, what the judge lay out, the directions that the judge, because he's going to have it down. If you see bribery and this person, their name should be there. People who were really, that they feel like was bribed, their names are going to be there. Okay, so that when he went to her, it was KK went and she called him and he told her he couldn't get that video. Okay, and then he left it alone, and then she came up to his job. You know, I really gotta have it. Well, ma'am, you gotta call the police or get a subpoena. That's the only way to get it. Then she mysteriously called him on his private phone. I mean, what is that? I done told you what the company policy is. Now that ain't good enough. Now you keep calling, and now you done came to my job. For real? And then you call me after when I get home on my phone. That how you get my number? And now you putting Diddy on the phone. Then he goes in to start saying I can end your career. How many times have we heard that? How many times have we heard that? I can end your career. What's that? And then after they figured out a way for him to get it, he becomes an angel. My angel. That's just like Denzel Washington in Training Day. My nigga. Yeah. When you get what you want. But he done threaten him. You done harassed him. You done stalked the man. And that's the second one. Because the first guy, he just didn't take the money when he was dragging her down the house. So they go bribery. Extortion. I need $20K. I'ma send your daughter a SCX tape to her job. To your job. And then on top of that, he had some workers. Hell, we thought it was HR. But one of the workers gave her instructions on how to wire the money. So somebody who was representing Combs LLC, the enterprise. So not only was he demanded it, now you got employees giving instructions on how. And y'all don't see racketeering, Rico, for real. And then once the lady refinances her house and sends this $20K, they wait a couple of days. Catch this, y'all. Catch this. He stamps that he got it and then turned around and returned it. So just because he returned it, do you think it's not extortion? No, it's just that somebody legally told you, oh man, that's a paper trail. You can't do that. So he sent it back. You just acknowledged that you got it. Y'all don't see Rico though. That's because some of the shit y'all do is illegal and it's Rico and y'all just don't want to own up to it. I mean, we can go on and on and on. He did a lot of stuff. People go to work. They go to work. They think that hell, I made can work a few hours of overtime. Now they saying now you work for him. It's supposed to be a legitimate business. So what legitimate business do you know that you don't get paid? overtime. I don't care who you are. I can't go home. I can't have a girlfriend. I can't go on vacation. I can't do none of that. I gotta prove myself to you. I gotta work. I gotta take some pills, some mollies and shit to stay up, cause you some dang freakazoid and you be up all day and all night. So I gotta prove myself to you, and I gotta take something now to stay up. Won't stop, can't stop. Now you want me to, you see Suge Knight, and we gotta, and I know, you know, I ain't gonna act like if somebody in my family call me and somebody doing some shit, we not gonna pile up, we not gonna, but hell, it is what it is. The boy didn't go there to be a part of no mob where somebody come back and say Suge at Mills and they load up and gun up, here, take this, you get this, yeah, strap up, give me the clip, and y'all going out hunting, manhunting, West Coast hunting. Y'all don't see Rico? What was that? Employees. Cause he worked for him. D-Rock worked for him. And they and they strap up and go hunt, manhunting. Cause somebody saw him in Suge Knight at Mills. That ain't mob to you? That ain't gangster? That ain't? Oh, okay. Let me finish, because, baby, this is so cut and dry for me. And all they need is two. Oh, child, please. I definitely see it. But, okay, let's go.
Put on the record that he's not going to testify. I assume that's going to that will probably happen on Tuesday or even Wednesday morning. That's right.
The jury will not hear the defense put up a case. What do you make of that decision?
Yeah, so the defendant has not officially put on the record that he's not going to testify. I assume that's going to that will probably happen on Tuesday or even Wednesday morning, where the judge is going to ask Mr. Combs, do you wish to testify on your own defense? And to know that it is your free will, your decision alone to determine whether you want to testify or not. Knowing that, do you wish to testify? Likely Mr. Combs is going to say no, and that's because the defense team has indicated, because of the schedule, we know that they intend to finish either Tuesday or the very latest Wednesday morning. That doesn't give enough time for Mr. Combs to actually testify, so we're inferring from that he's not going to testify. In terms of why would Mr. Combs not testify? When a defendant testifies,
at Wayfair, we get pretty excited about furniture. Around here, it's not a patio, it's a patio.
Oh, I love those. It changes the deliberation proceeding in the sense that the jurors aren't going to be like, did the prosecution prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt? Now it's more of, do I believe what Sean Combs is saying to us? Do I believe when he gives up these excuses, or why Jane or Cassie may have acted this way, or why he spoke to them in this way, or what happened in that Intercontinental Hotel, or the expenses, or the text messages, the explanation that he tries to give to this jury? Or they could be like, well, I don't like how he looked on the stand, or his mannerism when he testified. There's so much that goes into a defendant testifying that majority of the times defendant don't testify at all, because again, you take that out of the decision making. Of course, from Atlanta, from Los Angeles, going down to Miami, going down to Turks and Caicos. So you have that. Did sex happen? You have that. You have that from the, and all you got to prove is one sex act. Did they travel? Witnesses with that. And then, of course, with the transportation to engage in prostitution.
I must have went too far. I'm sorry.
Act having to deal with the bribery. Remember, Sean Combs.
Oh, yeah.
5 counts. One dealing with racketeering.
And that the defense does not have to put on a case. They may be questioning as to why they're not putting on a case. That majority of the times defendant don't testify at all, because again, you take that out of the decision making of the jury. Now, we expected, of course, Mr. Combs not to testify, but for the defense not to call any witnesses, I think, a jury, while they're instructed in the jury instruction that the burden is on the prosecution, and that the defense does not have to put on a case, they may be questioning as to why they're not putting on a case. But again, they can't hold that against them. But at the very least, I had expected that the defense was going to call an expert, a forensic expert, one to contradict what expert Hughes testified to. And I believe that the expert that they had was Dr. Sasha Bardet, which I personally have used in cases, in homicide cases, and actually in other cases as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney. And he's excellent on the stand. But they have chosen that they're not going to call him. So it's going to pretty much make closing arguments like, look, they haven't proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And according to the defense, they believe that they don't need to call anyone.
Are you surprised?
I'm surprised that they at least didn't call Dr. Sasha Bardet, the expert, having to deal with forensics, because in the end, you know, you want to try to contradict and you want to try to make it a battle of the experts. It's not saying anything about the strength or weaknesses in your case, but more of, let me take a jab at the prosecution's case by calling this expert.
Just a couple of more, because as we approach deliberations now and this jury, you know, taking the case into their hands, Mr. Combs is facing
and then
5.
Also, 5 counts. I need, because it sounds like people think that that he only has 1 or 2 charges. No, he has several. And so people saying time served, ain't no way. Time served on which charge? Time served on which charge? And he got 5. He definitely can't have time served on all 5. He definitely can't have time served. No, because a couple of them are life in prison. So no. Yeah, it just, it bothers me, because I gotta believe this is just trolling, because I don't want to believe my people just that lost in the sauce like that. And that means that you can be easily tripped up, because you don't know no better. You don't know no better. And he got how many charges?
One dealing with racketeering.
Hold on, because I forgot what I was.
And as we approach deliberations now, and this jury, you know, taking the case into their hands, Mr. Combs is facing 5 counts. One dealing with racketeering and criminal enterprise.
Racketeering conspiracy.
And then 2 for Cassie Ventura, the first alleged victim, and then 2 for the woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane.
Yes.
And the jury, when they're deliberating, they are able to independently of those charges decide one thing for one and another for another.
Absolutely. And I think in this case, and this is why closing arguments are so important, and it's so important for the prosecutor in her closing argument to give direction to the jury. When I was a prosecutor and I would do closing arguments, I would start off by telling the jury, like, look, when you go into that jury deliberation room,
absolutely unique November.
Give them the questions. What evidence is relevant? Tell them what's relevant, and try to get all the outside noise out of their mind. Tell them to focus on these charges, these elements, this evidence, because this is what matters.
Absolutely. When they tell you, you know, when they break it down, you can't say, well, I don't think that's what they are telling you. What the law is, they are attorneys, they're lawyers. So when they tell you, okay, when he demanded money from her mama, you can't then turn around and say, well, I don't think that is, I don't think that, I think that her daughter shouldn't have been. You can't do that, because how you think and how you feel ain't the law. So you can't then put yourself in when a lawyer have provided you with the law. Where she was moving, when she was she was walking back that way toward the door when because she could have got on the elevator. No. Now you making her the criminal. So now you justifying the law that he broke because she didn't get on the elevator. No. So all of that way of thinking, they're gonna nip that. That's why tomorrow, when they're gonna get together and they're gonna outline it, and they're gonna put it and make it. It's just as simple as day. Cause see, this is not no. Did he shoot the gun? Did he not shoot the gun? This ain't. Did he go to the store? This ain't that. No, you got guys who have said that I went to go and dance, and I was propositioned. I was offered money to be in a movie, a production. It don't matter that he was offered it. It don't matter that he took it. What matters is who paid for it. Did he pay for you to sleep with her? But she didn't seem like we don't know what happened to her before that man got there. We don't know what he threatened her. So trying to figure out how she felt and why she's laid there to do it. Come on now. If it's that simple, a lot of people who have been snatched and trafficked could just get up and leave. You better go in there and you better do your job. You better go in there and you better please him. Do y'all not remember when he would beat them and fight, and then he said to go in there and get in there and suck his thing? What? Go put on a dress. Yeah, you better suck it, and you better hold it in your mouth and bring it to me and spit it on my nipples. That's the type of craziness that was going on. And again, what I was going to say just a minute ago, and remember, nobody is saying that Cassie, Jane Doe, the workers, nobody, like I said last night, everybody that got on that stand who has worked for Diddy or Combs Enterprises were co-conspirators. Again, it's not saying that they was not co-conspirators. They went along with it because Cassie was calling some of the people. Jane was calling some. We absolutely agree they were co-conspirators. In the first weekend or the first week, once it clicked what was going on, I told y'all my tea sippers, my regular tea sippers, that they was making a sandwich. I gave you the illustration of a sandwich. And Cassie, I said she was just the beginning of the sandwich. She was the bread. Jane, and now we know she was the back end of the bread. And all those other people in the middle is the different things that you want on your sandwich. And it was all just to make a big old sandwich for the feds to eat his ass up. So, yes, they were all co-conspirators. Now, because KK didn't come up there and D-Rock didn't, they going to get separate cases. Because they are still co-conspirators. They did not take a deal. Y'all with me? Y'all understand that? KK is still a co-conspirator. They're just going to be charged separately. The same way Epstein and that Ghislaine or whatever her name is. My God. They have already been named co-conspirators. Wherever you normally go, they didn't say that. They didn't tell you that. You didn't know that. Okay. Well, since you over here, that's my take. And I'm not going to debate with you. So if I said they're still co-conspirators, that's what's being said over here. So go back over to where you normally go, and you keep that over there. I don't want that over here. I'm not debating with anybody. I'm just not. I'm just not. Okay? And for the record, they did not name them as co-conspirators until maybe week 4. Week 4 of this trial. Because guess what? They were supposed to come, dumbass. Yeah, just like they saying he was supposed to have a whole slew of people. What happened to him? They started getting information that they didn't realize how much information the feds had. Yeah, videos. Folk didn't know that they was videoed. Yeah, so people started moonwalking back. Yeah. Yeah, so hush. Bye. Yeah. I didn't say they had a case. Eddie Kane, when did I say that? I want you out altogether. Yeah. When did I say they already had a case? T-Sippers, did I say that? They can't hear with their good ear. And I'm not finna entertain it. Who was the other one? I just timed out. Now I want you out of here since y'all done came over here together thinking y'all finna tag team me. No. Yeah. There go Eddie Kane. And who was the other one? Yeah, let me go on and remove you. Yeah, since I don't know why y'all don't think I don't recognize baby, please. Hold on. They would have charged them already. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. If Puff had it going that good, hell, he would have been able to bond out, wouldn't he? Now, if y'all keep coming up in here with these fake pages, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Who is Eddie? Garcia, he ordered the wrong baby oil. Mm-hmm. Now I could just have my show and I don't have to worry about nobody making no comment. How about that? How about that? How about that? How about that? I said I ain't feel like playing. Didn't I not? Didn't I not? Okay. Now you're going to keep your opinion to yourself.
And that's why it's going to be so key for closing arguments. In terms of the charges here, you have racketeering, conspiracy, trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, one for Jane, one for Cassie. Transportation to engage in prostitution, one for Jane, one.
A couple of more, because as we approach deliberations now and this jury, taking the case into their hands, Mr. Combs is facing 5 counts. One dealing with racketeering and criminal enterprise.
Racketeering, conspiracy.
And then 2 for Cassie Ventura, the first alleged victim, and then 2 for the woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane.
Yes.
And the jury, when they're deliberating, they are able to, independently of those charges, decide one thing for one and another for another.
Absolutely. And I think in this case, and this is why closing arguments are so important, and it's so important for the prosecutor in her closing argument to give direction to the jury. When I was a prosecutor and I would do closing arguments, I would start off by telling the jury, like, look, when you go into that jury deliberation room, what you should be deciding. Give them the questions. What evidence is relevant? Tell them what's relevant. And try to get all the outside noise out of their mind and tell them to focus on these charges, these elements, this evidence, because this is what matters. And that's why it's going to be so key for closing arguments. In terms of the charges here, you have racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, one for Jane, one for Cassie. Transportation to engage in...
By what? Hold on. I need because people. That's why you can't respond. That's why I asked the other day. Do you know what?
In terms
by
of the
fraud
means?
You have
racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion.
By force, fraud, or coercion. What is by fraud? By fraud is when you bait and switch. Bait and switch. So it's not just by force. It's not just by coercion. It could be by being good, slick with your tongue, lying, bait and switching. That's fraud. When you manipulate to get it, when you bait and switch, that is fraud. So while a lot of people thinking, oh, well, he just got the gift of gab. Well, if his gift of gab, you bait somebody into doing something other than what you told them, that is by fraud. It don't always got to be by force. So all that, oh, well, she wasn't forced. No, but she was definitely fraud. Cause hell, she thought that was her boyfriend. She didn't even, we found out last night with Rico that he had a whole team. She didn't even know that she was a part of a team. She didn't even know that she was playing a position. That's why she'd be up in there saying, but you making me feel because so all you want me for is this, that, and the other. So when you start having all these different women saying the same stuff because you done sold them a dream, that's fraud. Gift of gab is fraud. So Mr. Force, Mr. Coercion, what about fraud? That's why I asked, do y'all know what triple X trafficking by fraud? You don't even know that's what he grooming you to do. Today, in some of the paperwork, they played where Cassie was saying, okay, 2017, I'm leaving the childish. Girl, you was a kid. You was a kid when you was groomed. When I heard that, so now you making her think that she a kid. Well, she is a kid. The hell you mean? So now she's saying, well, I'm a big girl, I'm grown, and I'm gonna leave that in the past. Yeah, but you are a kid. That's why he chose you. Because you was a kid. So when y'all go wherever y'all go, remember, you got to incorporate by fraud, by coercion, or by force. And you cannot say that day he dragged her down the hall that wasn't force. That one day. That was force. So stop playing with yourself.
One for Jane, one for Cassie. Transportation to engage in prostitution. One for Jane, one for Cassie. I personally, if I were the prosecutor on this case, I would separate the racketeering conspiracy. Of course, separate the counts having to do with Cassie, the counts having to deal with Jane. And I will probably even just start with the racketeering conspiracy. And because with the racketeering conspiracy, you don't really have to fight over, do you believe Jane or do you believe Cassie? Because there's independent evidence to show exactly having to deal with
that. Did y'all hear that?
To deal with witnesses.
So the independent evidence. Cause I was trying to tell people the other day, it's like y'all see one person, y'all expect for everything to be in Jane. No. Everything, no. It could be, one of it could be Cassie, and one of those other options could be in Jane. It's not the total package in one or the other. Hell, all you need is two. And there are two. Each. All you need is two.
Witnesses that are independent from Cassie and Jane, that being Kid Cudi when we're talking about the arson, Capricorn Clark when we're dealing with the kidnapping, and also having to deal with the arson, because remember Capricorn Clark was the person that was inside of the car when they went over to Kid Cudi's house, and is corroborated by what? The police officer who pulls up and runs the plate, and it belongs to Bad Boy Entertainment or Combs Enterprise, one of those. I will also separate out, you got that other predicate act having to deal with the bribery. Remember, Sean Combs individually gave $100,000 to security guard in order to get that tape from the Intercontinental Hotel. So you have that. And then you have the various witness who puts out having to deal with the drug distribution. Even the last witness, Brendan Paul, who testified that he procured drugs for Sean Combs, and also that at one point that Sean Combs even gave him like a sample of drugs and was like, oh, try it. Guess what? That one little interaction right there, oh, here, try it. Possession with intent to distribute.
Here, try it.
Witnesses with that.
So now, come on. How many of y'all would have said, somebody say, here, try it, is y'all say, oh, now that ain't illegal. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, because as soon as Brendan was saying, Brendan Paul said he had to take something to stay up. Somebody would have said, but he took it. Yeah, but guess what? That means that it was forced labor to me, because you felt like you needed to take something to stay up, because he wouldn't let you go to sleep. You didn't get no days off. So now you taking pills and stuff to stay up. Because you still on the clock, as far as he concerned. It's just those little things. Absolutely. Here, take that. That's a charge.
Oh, here, try it. Possession with intent to distribute.
Possession.
So you have various witnesses with that. And then, of course, with the transportation to engage in prostitution, that is the easiest charge for this jury to determine, because, hey, were they escorts? Yes. Were they getting paid for their service? Yes. Was there sex? Yes. And all you got to prove is one sex act. Did they travel across state lines? Yes. You had escorts from Atlanta, from Los Angeles, going down to Miami, going down to Turks and Caicos. So you have that. Did sex happen? You have that. You have that from the witnesses. You have that from the receipts. You got that from the text messages, from the travel logs. You got that from the hotel. So that is the easiest charge for this jury to actually figure out.
Did y'all hear that? They got travel logs. They got travel logs. So a lot of the stuff that Diddy kept to be able to hang over people's head when they felt like they was going to tell what's going on in the enterprise that he was going to use to blackmail them, is the same evidence that he had that they use that's going to send his ass to prison. Because let's be clear, these videos, you know, all up in, didn't Suge tell him you all up in the videos, you know? Yeah, you video. You got a whole log. You got price charts and shit. You got conversations saying, I'm a repeat customer. Stop going up on my. Stop going up. Then we hear today that your ass was in collections. How are you in collections? How are you in collections? And I'm surprised it didn't come up that he ain't got no deal with the Cowboys and Indians and whatever they are. Cause hell, she on there. She on the list. What you paying her for? I thought they had set prices. Oh, okay.
And I think, again, the most difficult part is going to be the sex trafficking because, again, you have these two women. While they're separate, they still decided to be in these relationships, and not everyone's going to comprehend that dynamic there, even though they did hear from Dr. Hughes. And then again, if you believe the sex trafficking or even the transportation to engage in prostitution, both of those are predicate acts, so you can add that to the racketeering conspiracy.
So
you can add it to it. Oh, hold on. So that could be added.
Lesson 3, savings gains. Setting up your financial future.
Hold on. They could be separate or added. Hold on. What did she just say?
Or even the transportation to engage in prostitution. Both of those are predicate acts, so you can add that to the racketeering conspiracy.
So if you are the prosecution going into this moment in the trial, how do you feel?
Well, they did the best that they can, right? They did the best that they can. And with the summary charts, I think they're doing a mini summation, a mini closing argument before the closing arguments to give insight to this jury about these two women. They did that with two summary witnesses. So they've been able to lay it out. But now you got to land this plane in the sense of closing arguments. You're going to have to tell this jury, I've laid everything out for you. Now I'm going to show you how to analyze this and how the evidence that I put forth in front of you meets out these charges. That's why closing arguments is so crucial, especially in a case like this.
And if you're the defense?
With the defense, you're going to have to go out there swinging. And swinging in the sense of...
swinging hard.
Of course, ram into the throats of these jurors that, look, they haven't proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense does not have a burden in this case. I didn't have to even question these witnesses, but I did. So now let's deal with the main evidence here. Yes, we've said about sex happened. It happened. It is personal. I'm not asking you to like or love or to sit down and have dinner or to go out on a trip or anything with Sean Combs. I'm asking you to evaluate the evidence here. These were consensual relationships between adult women that stayed in these relationships because they love Sean Combs, they love the life that he gave and provided to these women and continue to provide for these women. So consent was never an issue when it came into these romantic relationships. And of course, back away that this was anything having to do with an enterprise, and also be like, wait, Sean Combs, that's the only defendant that's here, so who was he co-conspirator with? You heard about KK, you didn't see KK. You heard about security guards, guess what? I don't see them at this table. So that's what they need to point out to this jury, the defense, to try to plant seeds of doubt. That's it, seeds of doubt. You don't know which one is going to land with any given juror, so you put it all out there and see what actually sticks.
There's a lot to wade through for this.
It's a lot. It's going to be a long closing argument.
Okay, we'll see how it plays out. Another big day tomorrow. Bernardo, always great to get your perspective.
Thank you, Mike.
Stay with Eyewitness News and ABC7NY for all the new updates.
Okay, I got one more.
Blog as well, where you can follow the details coming right out of court.
One more.
Hi, I'm Eva Pilgrim. Thanks for streaming with us tonight. We've learned the defense for Sean Diddy Combs will put on a case after
not this one.
Rests later
oh, Lord. Oh.
Signaling it plans to call as many as 3 witnesses, possibly more. But the biggest question remains, will the hip-hop mogul take the stand in his own defense? Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges in his sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy trial. This week, the government's last remaining witnesses are testifying. Today, the jury saw messages from...
Yeah, please get the likes up.
Freak-offs and an alleged drug deal. The jury also seeing text messages and emails pulled from one of Combs' devices showing travel arrangements.
This ain't the one I want. I don't even know what this is. But I need for y'all to get the likes up. Please double tap your screen. Please. Oh, yeah, that was 8 days ago. Let me get back to my girl.
Good evening. I'm Mike Marza.
Oh, my God. It is 1 o'clock. Let me hurry up. Hold on. Dang, okay, here we go. Shout out to.
I'm not one to gossip, but I will bring you the tea. Welcome to Sealed Sexually Explicit Video featuring Jane, Diddy, and multiple men, with Agent Cerciello revealing that there are around 50 videos in total, many filmed while Jane was allegedly under Diddy's control, and the court then reviewed disturbing messages between Jane and Diddy, where she said that she didn't want to be used or forced into Hotel SEX acts to keep a roof over her head, that there are around 50 videos in total.
And they heard, that came up in evidence this week, that she said in the conversation that she was having with him about feeling forced or having to be forced to have while being locked in a room. I don't know what y'all call that, but that ain't normal.
Total, many filmed while Jane was alleged explicit videos featuring at Diddy trial day number 28, but let's first recap trial day number 27. So yesterday was a real bombshell. The jury was shown 13 sealed sexually explicit videos featuring Jane, Diddy, and multiple men, with Agent Cerciello revealing that there are around 50 videos in total, many filmed while Jane was allegedly under Diddy's control, and the court then reviewed disturbing messages between Jane and Diddy, where she said that she didn't want to be used or forced into Hotel SEX acts to keep a roof over her head. Diddy allegedly responded, "Girl, stop," asking if it would be a movie or an entertainment night. Now, messages with escort agencies like Cowboys for Angels was exposed, showing Diddy paid for performers even when they couldn't perform. Thousands of dollars were moved, hotels booked, assistants coordinated logistics, and Diddy's voice notes asked for baby oil, soup, and wads of cash. Now, Jane told Diddy, "It's been 3 years of me having to F strangers." And if that wasn't enough, the court heard more messages, booking details, and sexual demands. But during cross-examination, Diddy's attorneys pointed out that the government summaries, like Jane texting one of the escorts calling him cutie, saying she was horny and that she wanted to fly him out. They're pushing the narrative that this wasn't trafficking. This is something Jane actually wanted to do in her relationship with Diddy. Still, Homeland Security confirmed that most of these incidents happened before Diddy began paying Jane's rent in 2023, and other meetings may not.
Did y'all hear that? So this was before, again, this would be before they contract. So before they contract, she was really still thinking that she was trying to be a girlfriend. Once she realized that this is what is going down, and I might as well really just get paid. What am I getting out of this? And then they signed a contract. And then they was doing business. Yeah.
Diddy's attorneys pointed out that the government summaries, like Jane texting one of the escorts calling him cutie, saying she was horny and that she wanted to fly him out. They're pushing the narrative that this wasn't trafficking. This is something Jane actually wanted to do in her relationship with Diddy. Still,
yeah, at that point it's a business.
That most of these incidents happened before Diddy began paying Jane's rent in 2023, and other meetings may not have been documented. The judge said that closing arguments could begin Thursday, with each side getting 4 hours to convince the jury. And yes, the verdict sheet is ready, with the jury set to decide if Diddy is guilty of racketeering, SEX trafficking, forced labor, or DRUG crimes involving Cassie or Jane. So now I ask you, is this the fall of a once mogul? We are going to get into trial day number 28 and so much more. But before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any news regarding this case and so much more.
What can I get you today?
I don't know. Why is it so hard to find a job where I can help people?
Now let's get back into it. Now, to start the day off, the defense is trying to admit text messages into evidence that could show Cassie Ventura initiating and working to set up a hotel room for a freak-off with Sean Combs. This is part of an effort by Combs' lawyers to show he didn't coerce Ventura, one of the two alleged victims who are key to the government's SEX trafficking charges in this trial, to participate in the freak-offs where Combs watched her have SEX with other men. The prosecution responds to the defense saying these were acts with Mr. Combs in his office. They are simply not relevant. Judge says U.S. objection is sustained. The judge says here Mr. Combs is inquiring into what Ms. Ventura was going to do, and she replied, "Be your little freak." Johnson says Ms. Ventura is asking Mr. Combs for an explicit photo of himself, so it is about her boyfriend. Judge says here I overrule the objection. Estevao from Combs' side says Ms. Ventura writes she bought baby oil because she couldn't stop herself. She was buying baby oil on her own. Prosecution responds, we don't dispute she wanted to have SEX with her boyfriend. Judge says the baby oil purchase seems for a freak-off. Combs' attorney says they say Mr. Combs drugged people to make them do freak-offs, but here he cancels a freak-off because she's feeling sick. Prosecutor Johnson says there's no evidence the freak-off was canceled. She wanted to have SEX with her boyfriend. Judge says let's just hold off. Prosecutor says in this one, Mr. Combs asked if she can have a freak-off without taking DRUGS, and she says yes. It is being offered for its truth. It is hearsay. Judge says I overruled the objection. Prosecutor Johnson says here she says I want my bank account to be right. We object. Diddy's defense attorney says this is Ms. Ventura demanding money. It is a command of sorts, not hearsay. Judge says, and how is this relevant? Estevao says it goes to financial motive. Judge says in 2017, I sustained this objection to 1135 on hearsay and 403 grounds. Prosecutor says that last one is 1417. It's about Ms. Ventura decorating a hotel room and getting flowers on Valentine's Day. Defense attorney says this is an SEX trafficking freak-off as alleged by the government. This shows Ms. Ventura setting it up as a surprise to Combs. Judge says this is hearsay. I'm sustaining that objection. But the defense can see her being presented with the layout of the hotel room, the flowers, the photo can come in, and the messages with them. Judge says, all right, bring in the jury. The jury comes in. Agnifilo says, can we have a restroom break? Judge says, fine. They go to break. Okay, so now we're back from break. Combs' Garrigo says, Your Honor, our arguments took so long that the jurors' devices turned themselves off. Judge says, they are high-tech. All rise. Jurors, you may enter. Garrigos approaches the witness, Mr. Cerciello, from Homeland Security. She says, good morning. Pull up 1406 from December 21st, 2021. Jane, Combs, Don, and Cabral. Turn off attorney screens. We're going to watch some videos. Play from the beginning until 2 minutes and 22 seconds. The public and the press have no idea what the jurors are being shown or not. But the press have no idea what the jurors are being shown. Low battery. Garrigos continues. So what did she say here? Cerciello says she writes, that's so effing sexy. Garrigos says, then she writes, I'm wet thinking about it. Heart emojis. Now Paul is in the chat, but your chart doesn't list Cabral's message with Jane. See 3328. Garrigos continues. Now it's December 21st, 2021. She reaches out to Cabral to say Happy New Year. Writes LMK, which means let me know if you want to come tonight. What does Cabral say? Cabral says, I'm cooking for my family, but tomorrow for sure. Is this not in your chart? No. Garrigos says, under Italian, let's see DX3050. This is April 4th, 2022. Combs with Jane. You read Mr. Combs and I'll read Jane. Combs writes, I have been having crazy fantasies about Leo.
I need for y'all to double tap the screen and hit the like button. Please. I need 20 likes. I've been here how many hours? Yeah, come on. It's 1 o'clock. I need about 20 likes, please. Ten more, please. I just need 10 more. Yeah. 8. Yeah, come on. I'm going to go ahead, but come on.
Leo, laugh out loud. Diddy continues, Adderall is the greatest, laugh out loud. She writes to him with drool face emojis. Then in 1406, next is July 2022. You only reviewed what the government gave you, right? Right? Combs tells Paul to come over. Yes. Here Jane says, my place is free tonight. Then she writes, I got on my knees and thank God for the health of my child. For your friendship.
5 more, please.
Right? I'll correct you. It's been nice. Y'all remember yesterday he said it's been news. So she starts to laugh. Okay, we have GX103. It's between Jane and Paul. He says, I don't memorize exhibit numbers. I don't know. Garrigo says, so let's show it. It's not shown on the public screens. She says, this is a message between Paul Arthur and Mr. Combs, who says staff is leaving. Garrigo says, this is the first mention of Anton, right? October 8th, 2022. Yes, he shows up. In these photos, E285, do you see the bracelet she is wearing? I do. Now, the public exhibit screens are still not on. Garrigo says, Jane writes, can you come to Turks? What does he say? He says, yes, love, I have my passport, but not vaccination. She says, can you get to ATL, Carroll's base? A few days later, March 21st, 2000.
4 more likes.
Ask about Miami. Jane writes, tonight was fun. What does he say? He says, had a great time, baby. Okay, now April 2023, Jane, Combs, and Paul. He says, hey, Jane, true name. I am available, and she asked about the 19th. Yes. Jane says, I'll reach out. How about P? What does Combs respond? He responds, okay, you find the location? You in the mood? Jane says, didn't know you were unsatisfied. I stopped and got a couple of more outfits. Garrigos, as Jane says, I know what you like, Daddy. After London, before you left for NYC, you did a film, you forgot it. You promised you wouldn't forget it. Then smirky face, devil face. I'm coming, Daddy. That video you sent me, it was hot. Sweat emoji. Garrigo says, let's go back to GX 1406, May 19th through the 20th, 2023. Jane, Combs, Paul, and Carol. What does Mr. Combs write? He writes, is Chef still there? She says, no. Laugh out loud. Okay, let's pull up texts from the personal assistant. Cerciello says, I don't know who. Garrigo says, Miss Crum writes, for the hotel they want fruit, outfits, shorts for him, size large, fruits and juices. She writes, are you hydrated? I'll be at the one hotel, residential side.
Thank you.
Hey, hun, had a great time. Do you see that? Yes. Here Jane writes to Mr. Combs, I love you, can't wait to see you, with heart emojis. But now she writes, let's be positive. Remember how we turned it around at One Star, right? Right? He says, you got Chef? Jane says, no. You know I was trying to get my chefy poo. Jane writes, are you coming to LA? How much would it be to compensate for missing the chef gig? He responds, sorry, love, I could have done it with enough heads up. Mr. Combs writes, hurry up, she is at the hotel and she is horny as hell, need help. Laugh out loud. Paul responds, laugh out loud, right? Right? And Mr. Combs sends Paul an image. Does it look like Shaq? Yes. May we have a brief sidebar, says Judge? And they have a sidebar. Okay, so now they're back. Judge says, we are taking a break. Okay, now it's 11:56 and they are back. Sean Combs is in a brown sweater and he's poring over a document with his lawyer, Nicole Westmoreland, then stands up to talk to Ignifilo. All rise. Garrigo says, back to 1406. Mr. Combs writes to Paul, security knows to let you in the back, right? Combs says P, not Paul. Jane writes, just to tell you I love you, listening to your music and making love with you. Part A, Rose, whatever we were saying. Back to 1406, August 12, 2023. He writes, movie night was off the chain. Garrigo says, she says, so we try something new tonight? He says, call Italian. She says, one hotel roof, good for drink and light bites. Smiley face, kissy face, right? Cerciello says, right. He says, baby, I'm stressed out. She says, I'm back to mommy mode. Garrigos continues September 19th, 2023. That correspondence to many chats we looked at yesterday. Pull up 1407, not one by one, she laughs. Go to page 48. I just want to highlight a few that I didn't think were in the charts. DX 3187. Combs writes, headed to ATL. Then he continues, I can't even look. It will drive me crazy. Jane writes, muy caliente, with a sweating face. That shit was different. All of it. That was September 24th, 2023? Yes, says Cerciello. This message says, we had a great doll, D-A-W. Jane writes, Daddy want to see mommy be bad tonight? Slide that D-I-C-K in me at the restaurant. No water, emojis. Yes? right? She writes, I'm going to blow your mind tonight. Can't wait to lick your nipples. Jane sends more emojis, drools. She writes, it's sexy here in the hotel. Yeah, we need to run to the freak store. Let's skip ahead to 55. She writes, I didn't have time to do my nails. And he writes, I effing love it. Okay, let's just quickly look at, this is Jane and Combs, right? Correct. Okay, line 913. September 30th, Jane writes, I love you, baby. Have a great show. This, I won't repeat here. She starts laughing. There's no location entries until February 8th, 2024. Christina Coram asked Jonathan Perez, how does he look? You could put him in front of someone, but he just took a full bar, so I think he'll be asleep soon. Now can we turn off the public screen? She didn't know the public screen has been off the entire time. Here you have flight records for Jane going from LA to Miami 5 days before Combs posts IG video, right? Right. Now a phone call from Anton to Jane, 0 seconds. What does that mean? The clock starts at ringing. We do not have the public screens on, so play this video. The gallery is not seeing anything because the screens are off. That was June 2024, right? Right. Let's play more video. Oh, 3 jurors' devices are not working. Ooh! Ah, the ghetto! The ghetto.
Bring your own Cavassier.
Girl, it's your boy.
Oh, that's a commercial.
Stop looking in the mirror.
We have some more devices charged up. We'll hear the music. Now play the entire video. Now in this one, let's jump ahead to minute 7 and 8. Now minute 19. Okay, almost done. Please stop it here. Do you see the messages from Jane? I have the best memories. Okay, so 1408, let's bring that one up. Do you see account transfer of $22,000? Yes. Okay, in 1409, it was Jane. Fuentes Transportation. Do you see that? It has $151.99 for Jane's true name, and also Cabra Williams. It's hard for me to see the lines. Can you move the cursor up? Public screens are still off. $324.50 and $760.25. Combs passes a note to Nicole Westmoreland, still seated at his right, who then whispers to Ignifalo's ear. Garrigo says, let's go to page 96. Sean Combs' personal bank account records. Total due $74,000 and an account transfer to the LLC, correct? Yes. Your Honor, may I have a moment? One more video and then we're done. The one that wasn't working this morning? Turn off the attorney's screens, please. You reviewed the metadata, right? Which chart? That's a great question. She laughs. Play it. Garrigo says, thank you, agent. Please go back to keeping New York City safe. And then she laughs. Judge says, redirect. Prosecution says, briefly. Did we just see Sean Combs paying for the travel of Cabra Williams from Atlanta to Florida across state lines?
Why would she say that?
Objection, says Garrigo. Do the charts represent every text message in this case? No. Let's pull up messages before this date. Objection, beyond the scope, says Garrigos. Prosecution says, Miss Garrigos, you did it. Judge says, sidebar. Okay, so they are back. In this time frame, did you see any messages between Jane and Mr. Combs that were sexual or affectionate in nature? No. No further questions. Judge says, do you rest? Prosecution says, subject to. Judge says, jurors take a break. Jurors leave. Comey says, we have essentially rested. We only may want to move for a few corrections. Judge says, Mr. Ignifalo, are you ready to move? Alexandra Shapiro from Combs' side says, we move under Rule 29. Inference is not enough. See U.S. versus Copeland. Shapiro continues, on count 1, Mr. Combs is entitled to a judgment of acquittal. The requirements of RICO have not been met. They have not shown the agreement to violate RICO, nor agreements to 2 racketeering acts. The enterprise is more than a group of people. The enterprise's purpose here mapping to the racketeering acts, sex trafficking, etc. See the Boyle case, a structure feature of a RICO enterprise, a hub and spoke, the rim. Here it is a rimless hub. There is insufficient proof to establish this 20-year-long conspiracy. Mr. Combs did not conspire with any other person. They say an inner circle of bodyguards, but they failed to show it. There's only thin proof they engaged in crime. At most, there were personal quantities of DRUGS. They used a lot of Astroglide and baby oil and drank. Maybe some DRUGS. Jonathan Perez said hotel nights were personal times with a female. Brendan Paul said hotel for the night. David James said he saw a naked man in the hotel room, but thought that wasn't part of his job. The SEX with Cassie Ventura and Jane sometimes involved third parties, but they were not booked by staff. It brought them closer to Combs. Shapiro continues by saying that his assistants didn't know much, if anything, about what went on between Combs and his girlfriends in the hotel room. She says there's no evidence that Christina Coram, Sean Combs' former chief of staff, knew or believed that Combs' girlfriends were being coerced against their will. There's no evidence that Coram participated in or facilitated any crimes for Combs except potentially DRUGS for personal use. She argued that some messages showed Combs sometimes lied to Coram even though she was alleged to be his co-conspirator. That's not the way co-conspirators act with each other. She also noted that prosecutors alleged the conspiracy began in 2004 and Christina Coram did not become significantly involved until after 2016. She argues that Combs actually took steps to conceal the nature of the sexual activity he was engaging in from his employees. She said it's evident through the fact that Combs, Cassie Ventura, and Jane booked the entertainers and escorts instead of Combs' employees. Shapiro also pointed to several text messages, including some shown to the jury earlier today, that show that Combs and Jane communicated with entertainers about timing to avoid running into Combs' staff. Now, what she's doing is called a Rule 29 motion, and it's pretty standard on criminal trials. It's basically the defense asking the judge to throw out the case because they believe the government didn't provide enough evidence for a jury to convict. But here's the thing. These motions almost never get granted. They're routine. The judge will listen, but the judge will typically deny them. Now, Shapiro goes on to say that the jury did not see any text to Combs that would indicate Ventura did not want to participate in the freak-offs. A person in Mr. Combs' position clearly would have understood that. On the contrary, she enjoyed the sexual activity and did not feel coerced. She described Combs' relationship with Ventura as toxic for many reasons and acknowledged that Combs was regrettably violent towards her at times, but reiterated the defense's argument that domestic violence is not sex trafficking. Shapiro argued that the evidence showed Ventura was not coerced by violence into participating in freak-offs and that when Combs became violent with her during those events, she left. Shapiro says there's no evidence between the breakup with Cassie in 2018 and the beginning with Jane in 2021. Even for a RICO conspiracy, they have to prove a single agreement. It hasn't been done here. U.S. versus Hazonia. Even if the court denied this Rule 29 motion, some should not go to the jury. Under the California law, the government had to show that the information was about to be given to law enforcement. Back in April, we found lack of probable cause. Mr. Combs was seeking to avoid negative publicity for both himself and Ms. Ventura. There was no police involvement. The guard who testified said Ms. Ventura did not want to report it, and Ms. Ventura said the same thing, as did Kerry Morgan. Eddie Garcia said the money was for the video, nothing more. Ms. Ventura appeared on FaceTime and said she had a movie coming out and did not want the video coming out. The NDA permitted Garcia to report to law enforcement. On obstruction, they have to show intimidation or threats to hinder or delay. Citing Arthur Anderson versus U.S., there must be conciseness of wrongdoing. Here, the incident involved Mia and Jane. On Mia, there's no actus reus, which is an action or conduct which is a constituent element of crime as opposed to the mental state of the accused. Now, this is about D-Rock trying to get Mia to speak with Combs, but it sounds like a normal conversation under the radar went off. No threats were communicated. All D-Rock said was Puff wanted to talk with Mia. They wanted her to say something PR. Her reaction could not have been foreseeable to D-Rock or to Mr. Combs. She did not even answer Mr. Combs' calls later that day. D-Rock didn't bring up money. She did. She said she was out of dollars. D-Rock never acted on it. D-Rock said, if you don't want to, all good. The prosecutors characterized these as nice messages. There was no evidence D-Rock or Mr. Combs thought Mia felt threatened. So this is not witness tampering. There would have to be proof Mr. Combs knew of a federal investigation at that time. There is none. With respect to Jane, they had November 19, 2023. No threats. Mr. Combs says, this is when I need you to be there for me. Mr. Combs was already paying Jane's rent. There was nothing in the call about it. This is not corrupt persuasion. There's no federal nexus. Now they want to argue 159(1)D. That would be a constructive amendment, as we'll say at the charge conference. Anyways, we think the statute is unconstitutional on forced labor. The statute was meant to enforce the 13th Amendment. It is used for domestic workers, here legally or not, forced to work while at conditions. These are able-bodied U.S. citizens perfectly capable of leaving when they wanted to leave. They did. What the two were most afraid of was losing was their job. With respect for Capricorn Clark, she continued to work to show that she hadn't stolen. Not being paid overtime is not forced labor. Capricorn Clark said Mr. Combs told her to get the F out of my house. She says that was crossing the boundaries. She got a higher paying job. She alleged wrongful termination, presumably because she wanted to stay. Then 50 Cent. With respect to Mia, she had a high GPA. She got her later job with Madonna, so the elements are not met with them either. On kidnapping, there is sufficient evidence as to 2 of the 3 allegations, even if you credit the U.S. witness, Capricorn Clark, and the lie detector test. Uncle Paulie took her to the building. This does not satisfy New York law. Mr. Combs didn't know. And then the other, Cassie at the London hotel. She said she was taken there and was held there for several days. California law has 4 elements, not met here. On arson of Kid Cudi's car, no evidence Mr. Combs was even involved. On count 2, Mr. Combs would have to know. I'll focus on his men's rear. It's about what he understood. How could he understand? Cassie said she did the freak-offs to make Mr. Combs happy. She didn't communicate reluctance. Look at the text. In the Intercontinental, the fight happened after the night of SEX, and there's no SEX after the violence. The video seemed to show that Mr. Combs, after he gets the cell phone, just sits in the chair in the elevator lobby. So no men's rear. As for Jane, she engaged in sex for economic benefit. For example, the house. There was 1 incident of violence, which I'll get into. Fraud theory is deficient as a matter of law. Turk's trip ultimately happened. She wanted to go out for dinner. This would sweep in a lot of romantic partners. It has vagueness problems. People do this all the time. It's not fraud. Immigrants being tricked into SEX for green cards is different. He's a wealthy individual, but won't take her on a yacht. They never alleged SEX trafficking of Jane until they found out she was alleging a circle incident of assault. That is telling. This theory of fault is incredibly weak. Fight at Jane's house in LA, this single act is not sufficient. There's no evidence that escorts came from outside of California. Escorts were paid for their time. Both witnesses said they were not prostitutes. Philip and Hayes, they were called entertainers or escorts. Thank you, Your Honor. Judge says government says there's more than enough evidence. Your Honor can reserve on that. If you like argument, I like a bathroom break. Judge says I can reserve. Prosecution says the defendant should be allocated. And Nifilo says, give me a minute. Judge Arun Subramanian is now conducting the allocation of Sean Combs about his decision not to testify in his defense. Subramanian asked Combs how he's feeling. He says, I'm doing great, Your Honor. I've been wanting to tell you thank you. Thank you. You're doing an excellent job. The judge chuckles and he says, thank you, I appreciate it. Subramanian asked Combs if he understood that he had the right not to testify, and no one can draw any inference if he doesn't. Yes, Your Honor, Combs responded twice. The judge asked if he had discussed with his lawyers whether or not he should testify. Yes, thoroughly. Subramanian asked if it was his decision not to testify in this case. That is my decision, Your Honor. Yes, that is solely my decision. Then he followed up by saying, it's my decision with my lawyers.
I don't know that I can keep him off the stand. I think he is very eager to tell his story.
The judge asked him if he understood that this was his own decision to make. He says, yes, my decision. I'm making it. The parties are taking a 15-minute break, and afterwards, the defense will present its brief case before adjourning for the day. Okay, it's 3:07, and they are back from break. The jury is entering. Judge says now the defense's case. Combs' lawyer says, we enter into evidence this stipulation about devices provided to the government by Cassie Ventura. Mr. McLeod, DX 1402. Can you highlight row 5? The public screen is not on. Combs' lawyer says, highlight local use. I'm the luckiest woman in the world. I'll get all the pictures together this week. So many good ones. Meanwhile, Combs is seated between Westmoreland and Brian Steele. Hands Westmoreland a pad. Combs' lawyer says, local user, I owe you a good night. If you wanted me to call someone, I needed to treat my pop better. I promise I will be better. If I don't, you can leave me. But that won't happen. Local user, Cassie, I love you and thank you for always trying with me. I will be a woman, not a child. I'm leaving that in 2012. Now pull up.
I'll be a woman, not a child.
February 14th through 16th, 2017. DX 1417A, from Violet to Cassandra Ventura. Teamwork makes the dream work. Combs writes, you think you can freak off without getting high? Cassie says yes, smiley face. Okay, now 1136R. Blow up the first couple of bubbles. Cassie writes, send me a DICK pic. Miss Ventura writes, I just bought baby oil at the store because I couldn't help myself. Then I'm proud of us. We've been together for a long time.
Embarrassing story, but I can't pay my rent. My friend told me about how she got this $5,000 loan to pay off her bills, including rent.
Baby, you do make me happy. I looked at my bracelet and it made me smile. Now she's speaking on stipulation notes. Some witnesses did not initially report threats or sexual contact by Combs to law enforcement. Daniel Phillips, a man Sean Combs allegedly hired to have sex with Cassie Ventura, told law enforcement in December 2023 that a female client called him and said her husband asked what she wanted, and she requested to be rubbed down in oil by another man. In another meeting, Phillips said that during a freak-off when Combs would tell him to sit on the couch while Combs was having sex with Cassie Ventura, he would feel jealous, as he liked Ventura romantically. At 4 of the 7 meetings Don Richard, a former member of Danny DeCane, had with the government, she did not say that Combs threatened her by saying, where he comes from, people go missing if they say things, according to the stipulation. At Mia's first 3 meetings with law enforcement, she did not say that Combs initiated sexual contact with her, according to the stipulation. Brianna Bongolan, a longtime friend of Cassie Ventura, did not tell prosecutors that Combs said that he would unalive her at a photo shoot, according to the stipulation. Now, Combs' defense team has rested their case. Prosecutors do not intend to present a rebuttal case, and the judge told the jury that they'll be off tomorrow and should return Thursday morning to hear closing arguments. The jury has been dismissed for the day. I am sure that was a ball of confusion for everyone, but we are finally at the end. We will hear closing arguments on Thursday. Again, prosecution will get 4 hours, and the defense will get 4 hours. Tell me where you are with this.
Okay, y'all. It's 1:30 in the morning. Thank y'all for staying. Thank y'all. I'm falling asleep. I see y'all. Well, I can't say tomorrow because it's tomorrow. I'll be later on. Have a good night.